Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we're diving into something truly unique. We are looking at a blueprint for a premium wildlife documentary called The Monarch of the Tides. But here's the catch. It's not just a dry list of animal facts. No way. This text literally puts you right into the fins of a wild orca. It charts out a complete, incredibly emotional life cycle, from your very first breath to your natural ending, all set against these vast oceans and icy Arctic waters. It's a fascinating look at how structured storytelling can turn basic biological data into a profoundly emotional journey. So let's jump right in and see exactly how this text plans to plunge us straight into the deep blue sea.
And right off the bat, we hit this foundational rule from the source. The document explicitly demands a second-person perspective. Think about that for a second. It doesn't want to tell you about some random orca out there. It wants to tell you about you. Every moment of survival, every struggle, the intelligence, the danger, it's all framed as something you are personally experiencing. You're the one surfacing for air. You're the one hearing your pod's calls echoing under the waves. This is a deliberate choice to strip away that wall we usually have when watching wildlife docs, right? It forces this incredible instant connection with the marine wilderness.
So to really set the mood, the text asks for a very specific vibe, a heritage visual feel. Now, what does that actually mean? Well, scratch any thoughts of hyper-realistic CGI or flashy, cartoonish animation. We're talking soft, hand-drawn, moody illustrations. Picture classic, beautiful nature sketches, but brought to life with deep ocean blues, icy whites, soft gray shadows, and glowing underwater sunlight. It's meant to feel calm, timeless, and completely cinematic, using gentle ink outlines to capture everything from a crashing wave to the absolute silence of the deep ocean.
To bring this whole thing to life, we'll be following a strict chronological timeline. We're going to trace your epic life journey, starting out as a vulnerable newborn calf, learning the ropes, facing the real dangers of your prime adult years, all the way to your natural ending as an elder of the sea.
All right, stage one, birth and vulnerability.
This is where your story kicks off, and honestly, the overriding feeling here is absolute helplessness. You really feel the sheer, massive scale of the ocean compared to your tiny newborn self. You're totally dependent on your mom and your pod. The visual cues here focus heavily on closeness and warmth, which is this crazy contrast to the terrifying, freezing current swirling around you. You're shivering in the dark waters, and your survival literally depends entirely on this protective wall made of your family. Talk about high stakes right out of the gate.
Moving on to stage two, childhood and learning survival.
So as you start growing and putting on some strength, your days turn into this mix of pure curiosity and some pretty harsh survival lessons. Because, you don't just magically wake up as an apex predator. You got to put in the work. You become stronger by actively learning from your pod, figuring out how to communicate, reading the ocean's massive movements, and mastering your own breathing patterns while swimming alongside your family. You're playing with your siblings, sure, but you're also quietly observing the adults pull off these incredibly intense, coordinated hunts. It's basically a step-by-step masterclass in wilderness survival. And a massive piece of this childhood education, mastering echolocation. The source really insists on keeping the behaviors hyper-realistic here. You have to learn this complex language of clicks and whistles just to navigate the dark, misty waters and track down prey. But it's not just biological trivia, right? In your story, this is your lifeline. It's how you build those ironclad family bonds and actually make sense of the vast world you live in.
Which brings us to stage three, danger and struggle.
Okay, so those playful childhood days, they are gone. The misty waters get dark, and you are slammed with the brutal realities of the ocean. We're talking a barrage of threats, crippling hunger, devastating dramatic storms, and terrifying human hazards like fishing nets and pollution. You are going to face failed hunts, sheer exhaustion, and severe injuries. And the main takeaway the text hammers home here? In this brutal reality, your individual strength just isn't going to cut it. Teamwork, intelligence, and a total reliance on your pod are absolutely your only lifelines.
Let's look at stages 4 and 5, adulthood, responsibilities, and major events.
Making it through those relentless dangers brings you into your absolute prime. And the emotional contrast here is just staggering. Think about the journey you've made. You've gone from that shivering, terrified little calf, relying completely on your mom, to a total powerhouse, the adult monarch. Now you're the one calling the shots on the hunts, fending off sharks and rival orcas, defending the territory, and guiding the babies of the pod through these massive seasonal migrations. It's such a powerful narrative of growth.
But of course, being the boss comes with a ton of pressure. You're dealing with the full spectrum of wild orca life now. You're leading coordinated pod teamwork, surviving crazy near-death encounters, and raising your very own calves.
And you're going through some major emotional turning points. The document makes it very clear that this stage has to include the highest of highs, like the pure victory of your first successful coordinated hunt, but also the devastating, incredibly painful losses of family members. It's all a shebang, a complete picture of real life in the wild.
And here is the absolute most crucial part. None of this is allowed to feel like you're reading a textbook. The source is super explicit that this has to evoke the tone of an emotional wildlife documentary. Yes, there's fear and hunger and danger, but there's also deep love, crazy determination, sacrifice, and massive emotional growth. The whole point is to make you, the viewer, genuinely feel the profound resilience it takes to thrive out there. The facts of orca biology are really just the vehicle to deliver this deeply relatable, emotional experience.
Finally, we reach stage 6, old age and natural ending. The frantic energy of your prime finally starts to fade, and things shift into this very slow, poignant calm. You're older now, you're moving a bit slower, and hunts that used to be a breeze are suddenly a real struggle. The visual direction here calls for an incredibly reflective, emotional atmosphere. You're remembering all those past journeys, from the icy coasts to the glowing sunsets. You stay super close to your family, surviving one last quiet migration together. And surrounded by the deep silence of the ocean, you approach a truly beautiful, realistic, and completely natural end in the wilderness. It is designed to be so meaningful and visually powerful.
So as we wrap up this explainer, we hit the ultimate goal of the source document, leaving you profoundly connected. The creators want you to walk away truly feeling, wow, that was my life as an orca. After a lifetime of weathering epic storms, mastering the hunt, enduring painful heartbreak, and experiencing the incredible love of your pod, what kind of legacy do you leave behind in the deep blue sea? It's the kind of question that really sticks with you long after those misty ocean atmospheres fade to black. Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible illustrated journey today. Keep learning and keep exploring.